give it some more.
Welcome to highlights action from the second semi-final at the World Cup of Pool in Leicester between Austria and Spain, who will meet the Philippines in the final of this year's tournament. Commentary comes from Phil Yates and Carl Boys.
Feel like Austria have really grown into this tournament, and as we all know, they've won this trophy before. And then they very nearly defended it the year after. Of course, last year losing in the final.
Another point worth considering right at the start of the match. This is uncharted territory for Spain. They've never been in a World Cup semi-final before, whereas this is the fourth for Austria.
4 semi-finals. That is a fantastic record.
Well, no European team has been in more. England have been in 4, so too Finland, Germany, and now Austria.
First mistake from Albin. Very tricky shot, just a little bit of adrenaline and just got through the cue ball too good there. That was effortless.
Yeah, the cue ball was super reactive, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the type of shot where it's not going to concern Albin. It was just a case of overdrawing it, and then very difficult jump shot for Mario here, who's played superb throughout this event, in my opinion. There you can see the cue ball jumping, very difficult to land it. So not a bad chance here for Spain in this opening rack as they get their semi-final campaign underway. Of course, the green 6 ball is the tricky ball in this rack. So that's a... I don't believe he's gone into them, Phil. I know that looks like it's a combo, but I feel like he was trying to draw in between the gap to come back out for the 4, but I don't know. It is a combo, so maybe he did. I'm not so sure. Awkward queuing though. The plant's set up fairly easy, so you expect David to make this, and make it he does.
And by going into the 6 and the 8, whether intentionally or otherwise, the table is now wide open.
What's intriguing me about this semi-final is when Spain get one of them tricky little pots where we all know they can be missed, and you've kind of got to cue them nicely. I mean, this rack, there's been no particular shots of them kind, so you expect them to run out.
Albin Ouschan got into the cue ball too much. Placed his opponent, or should I say his partner, in a snooker. The jump shot didn't work. Spain then took advantage. First blood.
So of course Francisco has got a shot at this yellow 1 ball over the top left pocket. Obviously the red 3 ball you can see is touching the 8 ball, so problems down the bottom end of the table.
And we saw this repeatedly in their quarter-final last night against Great Britain. Quite often they left a cluster in pretty much the same portion of the table then.
Extension called.
Yeah, so here's the big issue. Don't believe. You know, they see Francisco just kind of giving David an idea where he wants the cue ball. Anywhere in that type of range. Of course, he's not saying, you know, land it on a 10-pence piece, just giving him a guide. So there must be a little gap here because he's trying to. Well, there was no gap, so he's played it off the edge of the 8, and it's a nice shot there. First glance, I thought there was a gap, so he was trying to put the 3 on the bottom rail, but knowledge there using the 8 ball. He knew the 3 ball was going to cannon over to that side rail and played a wonderful cue ball. So
Extension called.
So he's going off the top rail in between the brown 7 and the green 6. If you can just miss the 7 and play it with a bit of right hand spin, you might go off the 2 rails. If not, you might be going into this direct. So he's gone off the 2, but it was always a little bit close to the rail, and you'll be happy with that one. Often when you kick at the ball, your main aim is just to hope you don't leave an easy pot, even though you might sometimes leave a real obvious safety. Of course, this is not obvious. You can see he's clearly trying to spin the cue ball.
Oh.
That is a huge mistake, to be fair, to not hit a rail there, Phil.
You have to hit a rail, and to be honest, he came nowhere near.
Yeah, it was all a bit rushed. I'm not saying it was easy, but was there another option somewhere? That's almost like a type of shot you play on a Friday night in your local boozer.
Or in their case, the local tapas bar.
Yeah, you can't beat a bit of tapas, can you, Phil?
You cannot.
Just needs to be a little bit careful here, just where that 7 ball's positioned. So as you see the path of the cue ball coming in the gap, lovely pace, because any harder, sometimes you can sneak behind that 7.
I'm still astounded by the Spanish mistake. Total loss of logical thought, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's tried to swerve it up past the 9 and then arc it round past and all this. It was a tough shot. I'm just, you know, I'm not so sure if there was another option. But the main thing is, it's looking like 1-1 and no huge mistakes yet from any teams, to be fair. What we class as a huge mistake is a very makeable pot. Of course, you're always going to miss certain pots on a pool table, but there's kind of gimmies and things like that.
First 2 racks have been completed and they've been shared.
Austria to break, 1 rack all.
The beauty of this break format, in my opinion, and I would think 99% of the pros, you can make the 1 ball on the break in the side pocket, but it's very difficult. But there is a break, you know, there's a skill to it.
Well, the number of dry breaks not added to there, and what's more, after 5 and 7 disappear, the 1's on, and it's looking good.
Yeah, and that's the problem if you're always guaranteed a ball. I mean, you know, if the players keep breaking like this, they're not going to make mistakes, are they? And there's no real value in watching 100% pool, is there? You want to see mistakes and misses, and that's why I'm a big fan of what Rassen have done to this table. They've made the shelf in the pocket that bit deeper, so the balls will hang more, and I think that's one thing. Maybe that's caught the players out a bit this week. Not quite used to this. A lot of the tournaments they play in are generous pockets and nobody really misses, and that's played a part this week, I'm certain.
Cue ball needs to apply the brakes. Now that was not dissimilar to what happened in rack number 1. Then it was Ouschan who actually hit the cue ball too good for his own good.
Yeah, the thing with that shot that he's had to play, he's had to stun and then play it with right and spin to create an angle. That wasn't natural. So again, very easy to misjudge the pace. But as you can see there, they can see this 2-ball. This is difficult though. We've already seen him overdraw 1, and often when you overdraw the cue ball, your next effort you underdraw the cue ball, which he did. First glance looks like cue ball's gonna glance into the 9, maybe the edge of the 6. Hard to see from here. So just keep an eye on this cue ball. Well, he's actually drawing it. Is he drawing it off the 6? He's played it into the edge of the 6, so nice vision, and I do believe there's a 6-9 combo, so that's turned out good for Team Austria. Yeah, and the angle Albin had was even nice as well, to drop Mario nicely onto this. Sometimes you have to aim a little bit wider on this because it throws, well, there you see, aim where you want, Mario.
He knocked the combination on, he knocked it in. Mario He and Albin Ouschan combining for Austria to give them a 2-1 lead. Early days, but already you feel as though the Austrians are looking comfortable.
Welcome back to the second semi-final of the World Cup of Pool, where Austria have moved into a narrow lead after 3 racks. Spain, victors over the hosts Great Britain A in the previous round, levelled up the match at 2 apiece in rack 4. The fifth was a long drawn-out affair of over 9 minutes, but a mistake by Spain's David Alcaide on the 8th ball gifted Austria the rack and the lead again. The 6th rack was another scrappy rack littered with mistakes, none worse than Ruiz missing on the 9 ball, leaving Austria to clear up from the error and extend their lead to 2 racks. We rejoin the action at the start of rack 7 with Austria to break. Commentary from Phil Yates and Carl Boys.
Well, the 2 is into the middle pocket to save the day. Now the 1's in very close proximity to the 8. Can they squeeze through? Or should I say the cue ball's in very close proximity to the 8. Can they squeeze through for the 1? From that view, you would say no. When 2 players take a look at this, normally they would have an instinct straight away. Both seem undecided. It's clearly very tight.
Extension called.
So undecided, in fact, that an extension is called straight out of the gate.
Push out called.
Yeah, where do you push to? You can only really push to the jump. Tried to tie the 3 up as well, so it's like an insurance policy for in case they do jump. Of course, if you don't tie the 3 ball up and Spain jump the 1 in. So Mario gets his jump cue. Well, actually, I think it's his break cue. Often you see players jumping with the break cue because the tip's a little harder. The reason why he's using a longer cue is purely because of the distance. So they've left the 1 ball on, but of course tying that 3 ball up has given little bit of breathing space.
Yes, when he pushed out, his decision to make the 3 awkward, well, it's now been vindicated.
Extension called.
Good effort there. That's probably the maximum he could get out of that shot. Pinching a bit of the pocket to try and force cue ball over into the 5. And you see, he just wanted that little fuller contact, and it'd have been a great shot, that. So David will just chip off this and try and use the 8 and the brown 7 and the 6 as a blocker.
Some hard, eventful match play pool so far in this contest. Not a very high standard one, I have to say, but gripping nevertheless.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure how Austria are 4-2 up. Now, Albin's trying to come off the bottom rail here and possibly pop this 3 in the left corner. Cue ball might hit the 9, so that could move places. And of course, if you're listening to Spain with a little bit of fortune you're having, Albin.
No congestion now. You get the feeling, the powerful feeling, that the next mistake or the next piece of inspiration could be decisive.
Yeah, and he's going 1 rail here, so he could do with potting this. And I didn't mean pot the white, Phil.
With no contact whatsoever.
Ball hand.
Unforgivable. Well, the Spanish are giving Austria one gift after the next. And the Filipinos must be licking their lips.
Yeah, I'm sure the Philippine team are practicing away, or maybe going for a bit of lunch, and not sure if they'll be watching this match or not. Probably not. No real need to watch this match, but of course, whoever they do play in the final, you're not guaranteed that you're going to get the same opportunities both these teams have had, and it's hard to believe after these 5 balls, Austria could be 5-2 up, because we've seen a few clangers so far. Nice shot there, just making sure you leave your partner a nice angle on the 6.
In normal circumstances, Carl, here we're confidently predicting a dish-up, but so many racks have twisted right at the end, and the 6 ball has been the thorn in the side of the Austrians. Doesn't create any problems there.
No, he's holding his hands up in the air and he's not happy, but I can only presume that's because he's left Mario straight. I think Mario should just play a little stun run through here, just move the cue ball through an inch and let Albin roll it into the top. I don't see, yeah, just like that, that's fine.
Yes, I thought that the gesticulation of Albin Ouschan is normally poker-faced. It was a little bit over the top there. No real issue, was there?
Well, yeah, and he's looking in the middle here. I mean, he's got a better view than anybody in the building. Well, maybe Viv Rusko's got a good view. So it obviously goes fairly easy into the middle, but yeah, there you go, that's fine. Pool players often prefer to shoot the balls in the corners for obvious reasons.
A gap, a discernible gap, is developing. Austria 5, Spain 2.
Welcome back to the second semi-final of the 2019 World Cup of Pool, where Austria have a commanding 3-rack lead in this race to 9 to face the Philippines in the final. The Spanish mistakes continued in rack 8, and another miss on the 8 ball by David Alcaide handed Austria a 4th consecutive frame. We return to the action in rack 9 with Mario He to break for the Austrians. Commentary continues with Phil Yates.
They say, don't they, that luck evens itself out. I'm not a subscriber to that theory, actually. But I think, generally speaking, the run went in favour of the Spanish early in the tournament. Even their most ardent, avid supporter would have to agree with that, and maybe today the luck's run out.
Yeah, it's a thin one. It's a bit like Mario's shot on the 2 this. I know the cue ball's closer, but you just see Mario point at where Albin could put the 1 ball, so if he does do that, why didn't Mario do it in the last round? Yeah, similar shot on Mario's 2, that. Not quite got the 1 ball where he wanted. He wanted it more in line with the 9, but the main thing is you're 6-2 up and You've left your opponents a real tough safety shot here.
Extension called.
Can he see enough of this ball to hit it full with a bit of left spin? Well, that tells you he's going off the edge. These can be very fat or too thin. He's hit it too fat. Needs a good cue ball now. Yeah, it's that type of shot. You always seem to hit it a bit fat, don't you? And it just pops out over the other side of the table.
Well, the tough pot is on the one ball, but you would need a magician plus to pot the one and then get position on the two.
Extension called.
Oh, look at this for a shot he's trying. He's trying to smash this in the corner just off straight and send the cue ball all the way down table and back up. I'll tell you what, that's a fantastic pot. It really is. I know he didn't get the cue ball back up, but that was such a hard shot. And cueing off the rail like that just to pot the ball, it's a great effort. Just kind of caught the jaw a little bit, so it would have gone further up.
Foul.
Albin Ouschan has not been at the races in this match, has he? Another one badly cued there. He was trying to play a similar shot to Alcaide in the last rack where you draw off the side rail, but just pulled out of it, and it's a huge mistake.
Well, 6-2 down, presented with this obvious clearance. They have to make the most of this. Ouschan knows he's only got himself to blame.
Phil, when I first kind of come on the tour and used to play in all the events in Europe before Albin, you know, kind of won them big events, and there was a point where his sister Yasmin was more famous than him, and she was one of the leading lady players, and he was still trying to break through. He had a terrible temperament, did Albin. He used to throw his cue and throw the balls, and obviously as he's got a bit older, he's managed to change that temperament.
I think that particular scratch, though, needless scratch, would get under anyone's skin.
Where's the cue ball? He's completely mishit this. He's going to be lucky to leave Sanchez a shot. He's going from bad to worse for Spain. Has to be said, they've not quite been at the races in this tournament. Very fortunate to get through to the semi-finals. Probably the best performance they did was against Great Britain last night. So he's going for the bank shot here. I don't blame him. Make something happen. And it's unlucky. He's hit both jaws. And this is going to go over towards the left pocket. And again, Phil, what is going on here?
Throwing away racks repeatedly. I've never seen a match quite like this.
I mean, no wonder Austria are getting to all these finals. Is this what goes on in the matches, Phil? As you said, this has been incredible.
When Ouschan scratched, he must have thought he was to blame for the Austrians losing this rack. If the 9-ball goes in, or should I say when the 9-ball goes in, they're going to win the rack. size. The Austrians are in command.
Trailing 7-2. I'm not really sure how it's 7-2. Well, I think if you're going to jump this, you may as well kick it off the side rail.
After what's happened though, Cole, their brains must be scrambled.
Yeah, if you do go off this side rail where he's just walked round, you need to catch that bottom rail before hitting the 2. Yeah, you can just see where David's put his finger, and that will naturally get the cue ball out. Not an easy shot. Well, Sanchez fancies the jump. That tells me
Extension called.
kind of taking the coward's way out, if that makes sense, because jumping this ball, you're probably more guaranteed to pot it. I mean, there's not loads of distance in between the cue ball and the red 3, but he's got to hit this right, otherwise the cue ball won't come out. It'll stay there. Oh, he's played it wonderful. Sanchez, forget what I said, pal. What a shot.
Now will that give them inspiration?
Well, where's he gone here? He is struggling. He's really struggling with the table. He feels like everything's bouncing wrong and everything, but I'm not so sure. He's managed to spin it in, so he's rescued the situation there.
And bear in mind, Alcaide is a Mosconi Cup veteran, twice World Masters champion. But no one is immune to feeling it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at David and I can see he's really struggling with the table. Feels like it's bouncing a lot quicker than maybe previous days, but this game's about areas, it's not pinpoint position, so... Oh, don't tell me you've scratched, Sanchez. What have you done here? This is unbelievable.
Foul.
The mistakes Spain have made in this match. This is one of the easiest doubles matches you're ever likely to win. And it's in the semi-finals. They're just playing every shot wrong. They're finding the wrong lines. It's been a real struggle for Spain. It's not nice to see, of course.
The match is just bonkers. Bonkers. I've never seen one like it.
I've never heard Phil Yates say bonkers in the comms box. That's how bonkers this match has been. I'll tell you what, Phil, we've seen it all this week. We've seen great shot making, we've seen poor misses. We've seen Chris Mellin miss a ball that he'll never miss again in his life. And we've also seen one of the weirdest semi-finals of all time.
A match the like of which I personally have never seen. This scoreline could so easily be transposed.
Welcome back to Leicester for the second semi-final of the 2019 World Cup of Pool. Austria has won 6 consecutive racks and are now just one away from a showdown with the Philippines in this year's final. Commentary is from Phil Yates and first, Carl Boys.
All we need now is a golden break. Well, it's not a golden break, but there's a ball gone down. It's the red 3. I'm sure Team Spain won't be wanting to watch this match back on the old DVD player.
No, if they've got this recorded, they will be deleting it on returning home. Unless they win the next 7 racks. Just covering myself.
Well, if they do win the next 7 racks, Phil, I'll buy you a little drink. Sensible shot there from Mario. I mean, it was kind of in between shots for the bank and stuff, so you're on the hill, you're 8-2 up. You could have pushed the boat out, but just play a little sensible shot, because why not? Knowing David and Francisco
Extension
well,
call.
they'll just laugh this one off, and kind of is what it is, one of them type of matches.
Well, that would have been the final indignity.
Yeah, it looked like it were going to fall, but the deep shelf on this Rasson table come to play again. Look at the kiss on the 9. So he thought it was going to fall. So I think he's trying to just go in between the brown 7 and the 8 ball to kick at this. And again, it's a poor kick shot from Albin. Wanted to hit the one a lot fuller than intended.
So far, all very different from the semi-finals in Shanghai last year when they came through 9-8. When that poor fellow from China B missed the 9 ball.
Yeah, that was against Austria, like you said. Unbelievable. Austria, they can... right there, look, at the World Cup of pool. But I suppose in fairness, Phil, obviously if Austria do go on to get to the final, which is looking very likely, it's probably a fair result all in all. Austria versus the Philippines. Of course, the event's not over yet, but kind of just looking back at the event, I feel like it's one of them types of events where a lot of teams might be thinking, what if?
Well, look at that now. Spain have potted more balls than Austria, and they're in the deepest of holes. We're waiting here for the latest mistake on the verge of winning a rack. Eventually, surely they'll just do something uneventfully, routinely.
Well, it is tight. And he's lost the cue ball. So this is a lot thinner than it should have been. I'm not saying you should be missing this shot, but 8-2 down with all the mistakes. This is very missable. So it looks like Spain have finally won a rack. Just keep an eye on the 2 Spanish boys after this. I'm sure they'll have a laugh and a giggle.
Well, I thought so too, but it took a while for a smile to emerge. They could have won so many racks today, and yet they've won only 3.
The 4 ball has just creeped out and stopped this blue 2 from going. blue 2-ball pots, and just look at this 4, just comes over and just gets in your way. Well, he still tried to play a shot there, didn't he? Tried to play a safety rather than, you know, you could be excused for maybe going for the combination shot or throwing your arm at something. So it's nice to see they're still trying to make something happen.
Extension called.
Yes, arms are not being shouldered. Of course, if it was a winner's break format, 5 down, 6 to play, yes, you're in trouble, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel. But alternate break, this would be one remarkable recovery.
Yeah, and there has been, you know, I'm sure all these players have played in tournaments where they've come back from big deficits like this. You know, you're just trying to set yourself a little goal here. I mean, of course we keep playing down Spain's chances, but let's get real. If they can win 3 racks, I mean, 3 racks is not out the question, is it? And it's 8-6. That's got a different feel about the match then. So I know it's 8-3, but you never know, do you? You just don't know.
Because Austria haven't dominated.
Called.
They've just cleaned up the mess.
Yeah, that's the other fair point you've just touched on there, Phil. They haven't played great themselves. Deep shelf, that goes in all over Europe, but it doesn't go in on this table. And I'm glad it doesn't go in.
I think the only thing that's of solace to the Spaniards, it's not as though one player has been guilty of a load of errors. They've both made almost an equal amount of mistakes.
Yeah, as I was saying before, Sanchez missed that 2-ball. I think you touched on to something there, Phil. It's important Spain just tried to set themselves a little target, you know, even if it's 2 racks, get back to 8-5, because, as you said, Austria have not been at the races either. But, you know, it's all on this shot now. Of course, if you get on this 6th ball, it's match over. And Austria will have gone to the finals of this event for 3 consecutive years. And that's perfect. This match is over.
That's bold, Carl, after what we've seen already.
I'm just trying to stick a curse out there. I want to see some more pool.
If they do wrap this up, this would be the 13th win out of their last 14 matches in the World Cup for Austria. Now that is some strike rate. Just a touch of check side to control the cue ball, drain the pace out of it.
Yeah, I think this is more relief. It's not one of them types of matches where it's huge celebration time, because that usually comes from high pressure. This has been a grind.
It was 9-3, but it never had that feel. Spain will have so many regrets, so many mistakes. Austria come through comfortably in the end, but it didn't feel that way.
So, victory for Austria sees them into the final for the 3rd consecutive year, where they'll face the Philippines. We hope you can join us for that one.